everybody. Paul Richards here with PTZOptics. Thank you so much for joining. I have with me John Landman from TeraDeck. How you doing, John?
Good morning.
Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. So it's what time is it over? You're in England, right?
I'm actually on the west coast of California, so it's 11 o'clock in the morning.
Wonderful.
No excuse to be tired, and it's not even drinking time yet.
So as I always do, I just let everyone know that on Fridays at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, we live stream every Friday on YouTube Live, and we're doing Facebook today as well. Why not? Every Friday we donate to charity, and we start with the $20 donation. And for all of you out there who hit that like button and hit that subscribe button, we add to our donation that helps children in need to get adoptions in our local area that are stuck in the court system. Last week we interviewed Dr. Andrew Cross. The week before that we did a really great camera shootout with Panasonic, Sony, Vadio. And before that, we even talked to video guys, and we talked about some do-it-yourself live streaming techniques. So today, we are going to interview John Landman. I really appreciate having you. But before we start, I wanted to give a little shout-out to the DVE Store and Tactical Fiber Systems. Both of these companies have come out with really amazing videos featuring our products, and one of them just made me laugh, and I'm just going to play a short clip from both of these companies. The first one is the DVE Store. Check this out.
Connection. So here's the PTZOptics 20X camera that we installed here. Certainly looks much sleeker than what we had here before, and there's actually only 3 wires here: an Ethernet cable, an SDI cable, and a power cable. And they're nicely covered here, having the
universal
sets for the PTZ camera. Dave's working on that right now. You can see vMix running in the background here. So this web interface is supplied by PTZOptics, and you can just create your own presets. And I'll show you here. We've got, like for instance, 2 sacrament tables, one on the left. Boom, there we are. We've got one on the right. Boom. Back to the podium. How it looks from down here where the congregation sits. Just a nice little bump up there on the...
So this was a video from the DVE Store where they upgraded a old church with standard definition video and brought it up to high definition using our products. So I'm definitely going to be asking John about how he can help that market. Take a look at this from Rich Rubin.
About an exciting new product that we've just released called the RoboCam Fiber Link, designed for PTZ robotic cameras, those remote cameras that are becoming more and more popular. Our system that we've just invented allows you to connect up to 2,000 feet of hybrid fiber cable. And by the way, we make this cable too. It's called our Magnum Hybrid cable, which will enable power to the camera up to 2,000 feet, and also transport video back from the camera, SDI, 3G SDI video, audio, and provide camera control to the camera. So you've got power, audio back, video back, everything you really need.
Okay, so I just had to show that off because when some of our partners out there make some really cool videos, I was just like, I have to show this off. But John, it's time for the lightning round. Do you think you're ready for that?
Fire away, buddy.
Okay, here we go. The lightning round. Oh, wait, hold on. Where is my lightning round? Here we go. All right, here we go. Oops. Start that over. Okay, John, here we go with the lightning round. Very first question, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Just like me, gotta love coffee. Talking or texting?
Texting.
Android or iPhone?
iPhone.
That's a good. That's everybody seems to be the iPhone guys here. What is your favorite movie?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
That is such a good movie. I love the opening scene of that movie. I love the moonwalk. Your favorite book?
That's a good one. Towers of the Earth.
I've never read that one. You'll have to send me that one. If you could travel back in time to watch 24 hours of history unfold, when would you go and where?
That's a great question. Probably the end of the Second World War.
Wow. Cool. Well, thank you for answering that, because that's one of those questions that is just a fun one I had to ask. So let's go ahead and jump into our standard presentation today. And we're going to start by just asking you, can you tell us a little bit, you have 60 seconds to answer each one of these questions. Can you tell us a little bit about an introduction to TeraDeck, for those of you who know nothing about TeraDeck?
Okay, so TeraDeck makes two families of products. Let's say the second family are our encoder products that are in some very unique form factors that allow us to take HDSDI, HDMI, or composite, and then stream those to a single destination, whether that be Facebook, Livestream, Ustream, or to all those destinations at one time. We make also the Bolt family, which is a wireless transmitter that supplies a camera feed wirelessly to your switcher. We do that with zero delay, uncompressed, so it stays in synchronization with all of your other cameras that may be wired. I think that what is unique about TeraDeck is that it has been an agitator in the industry and brought down these kinds of products that were only available to a very elite group, to the man in the street or woman in the street.
Well, that gives us a pretty good... That's kind of exactly what I would say if I had to explain it to someone, but you did a better job. Tell us about the Cube specifically, and then how that's different from the Bolt.
Okay, so the Cube, which if you can put a graphic up of the Cube, is actually not a cube, it's more like a rectangle. It was designed about 5 years ago to be put on top of a camera and turn an iPad into a monitor. So it's still used for that quite a bit. It's used on shows such as Dancing with the Stars and The Voice, where they have cubes a number of cubes on a number of cameras connected to a wireless router, and then the router is on the same network that the iPads are. They pull the feeds directly onto the iPad. The Cube also has the ability to send a feed over the public internet or over a LAN to a decoder to display it on a screen. We do a lot of this for a lot of different networks, for a lot of different overflow halls. If we're doing this with a lot of different churches that have, a facility in point A and wants to get a feed to a facility in point B. So the Cubes have the ability over the public internet, over Wi-Fi, Ethernet, or 4G to send a feed over the public internet, right? The Bolt, on the other hand, is a point-to-point transmitter in a location. We have three types of Bolts. We have the 300 feet transmitter, 1,000 feet transmitter, and 3,000 feet transmitter that are used to supply typically feeds to monitors or to switches or to handheld or fixed projectors. But again, because they are uncompressed and have zero delay, they are mixed in with wired cameras.
Interesting. Okay. So now, and I'm going to have to ask you about the difference between this and the new tech NDi and these low latency things, because I know you have some things to say about that. But first, so we talked about the Cube, but would you say the Cube and the Bolt are basically the two main products that you sell?
They're definitely the flagships of the two verticals that those two products address, right?
So let's talk about the differences then, I guess, from the Cube and the Core.
Well, the Cube is an encoder, okay?
Or sorry, not the Cube and the Core, the Cube and the Bolt, I'm sorry.
Okay, so the Cube is an encoder that compresses video, okay? So it will take a video feed, compress it into an H.264 compression up to 15 megabits per second, and then transmit that over Wi-Fi, Ethernet, or 4G, as I've mentioned. The Bolt, on the other hand, is purely a wireless transmission technique. It does not do any compression, and it has zero delay. So it's two very different user cases.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, let's keep on keeping on with our layout here. I think that makes a lot of sense. So now, one of the things that I'm really excited about specifically is your core product, because I've been saying for so long that we need to get more cloud-based support in this industry. Tell us about your core product. Maybe you can even show it to us and give us a little demonstration.
Absolutely. So many of our customers own multiples of our units. You may have 5, 10, 15 units, and trying to manage those with a single stream became impossible, so we created a cloud-based monitoring system called the TeraDeck Core. If I can have the ability to share my screen here. Okay, boom, 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 boom. Desktop, is that whiteboard? Nope. Share screen. How do I share my screen? Okay, you're sharing my screen now, right? Okay, so you're seeing, this is the interface to Core. And as you can, let me log out of Core so that we show you how it's secure. It's a subscription-based service that starts at about $90 a month that allows me to manage all of my encoders and my decoders. Let me sign into this unit.
I was so blown away when I saw this at NAB. I could not believe it. Basically, you can manage where streams are coming in, where they're going, and I was really surprised.
Absolutely. So let me show you how easy this is. This is our cube encoder, and if I click on this here, I see that I see the bit rate that's coming through the unit. I can see if I'm dropping any frames. I can see where I'm sending this feed to. I can make changes on the unit. From a management perspective, it's very easy to set up a cube to go to Core. Basically, the first time you get your cube, you log into it, you put in your Core account credentials, and it will pop up on your Core page. Once it is in your Core page, we can then start routing it to various destinations. Destinations for us can be either decoders. We make hardware decoders. This is used when, let's say, I have a facility where they want to send a feed to another facility. Well, we'll and display that on a projector or on a monitor or television. Well, we'll deploy a HDMI decoder there and then put in our Core credentials there so that the decoder pops up as a decoder within my Core account. Note that all this is done DHCP, no static IP addresses are needed to know, so it's really easy to deploy. We can also send to multiple destinations, right? For example, we can send to Ustream, Livestream, YouTube, Facebook, Wowzer. We can send to non-TeraDeck decoders. We can send to non-standard RTMP destinations or private CDNs, as we like to call it. And we can also send to something that we manufacture, which is a Sputnik server. I can go in at another time, or I can go on about what is Sputnik, maybe at a later time or off-site, because there's a lot of user cases for Sputnik that can take some time to describe. So let me show you how I route from an encoder to a decoder. These are my decoders here and my destinations. Very simple. We drag and we drop. That's it. Now, the one thing that's unique about Core is that we have the ability to do point to multi-point. So I can carry on dropping to different destinations, right? So now I'm sending a single feed to multiple decoders. Now, what also is unique is that I have the ability to send that same feed to my YouTube channel and my Facebook channel and my live stream channel, etc., etc., etc. We are unlimited in the number of destinations that we can send a single feed to. And last but not least, one of the features that we have within Core is the ability to record the feed coming in. So as a backup to anyone that's streaming, we will record a compressed version of exactly what we're streaming in the cloud. Those feeds can be accessed within the archive and used to be ingested into editing systems. You can basically just click and download that feed and bring it into your editing system to then, put it on your website at a later date. All right, so a couple of the user cases that we are currently using Core in.
Thank you.
One such is that we have the elections coming up soon. We have a customer that has 119 physical locations. Each location has a Facebook page.
Oh.
So we're going to take a cube, we're going to take the election results, feed those into an encoder, send that up into Core, and we're going to send that to 109 different Facebook pages at the same time. That's a lot of data going across the network. So what we're actually going to do is deploy the Sputnik servers geographically throughout the US. So what we'll do is we'll take a master Sputnik that is sitting in Washington, D.C., that's receiving the local cube, that will send to 14 geographically located Sputnik servers around the US, that each local location will send their Facebook page from that Sputnik server. So we've got a very sophisticated, complex network sending feeds, to multiple destinations, but yet it can all be done through your simple Core interface. This is probably the first time something like this has been achieved, and we're really happy that this is a national company that's partnered with us to do it.
Yeah, that really covers the customer use case and almost the integration. Tell me about these streams that you're sending out to all these Facebook places. Do you have basically a camera that's wirelessly streaming back to Core for every single Facebook page, or are you just taking one feed and streaming it to all these different ones?
No, we are taking a single feed from a single camera, and the PTZOptic camera would be perfect for that because the quality is great and the ability to control that remotely would be great. That is going to be managed in Washington, D.C., and we are going to be supplied an HDSDI feed. That's our involvement in the production side.
Interesting. So, and can you do any overlays if you wanted to do a lower third or something like that, or is it strictly video feed to end destination?
At the moment, it's a video feed to an end destination. So we would probably be receiving a feed from a TriCaster or something like that has the ability to put on graphics. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the typical workflow.
If you could do some simplistic overlays, I mean, you could replace the need for so many upstream management systems, it would be incredible. But anyway, take that with a grain of salt. I can't wait to hear what the guys in the chat room have to say in about 1 minute. We're running a little bit behind schedule, so let me just, you kind of mentioned the integration with PTZOptics. It's very simple. It's just an HD SDI connection to one of your encoders, correct?
That is correct. And we also make rack mount encoders should customers prefer to use that format or form factor as well.
Great. Well, we're running a little bit behind schedule, so I'm just going to ask you really quickly, any new products you want to tease us with? You're coming to NAB New York in a couple weeks. Anything new, exciting that you want to, just let us all know about?
Yes, but you'll have to come to NAB New York.
Ooh, I like it. All right, well, that's good enough for me. I'm going to roll the credits. Stick around, everybody. We're going to answer your questions in the chat room in the next 20 minutes. Here we go.
2 brief questions I'd like to ask, if I may. When you were carrying out that incredible moonwalk, did you find that the surface was equally firm anywhere, or were there harder and softer spots that you could detect?
Overloaded for the EVA, or can we expect all astronauts, when they reach the moon for the first time, to enjoy themselves and spend as much time doing so?
So that was my little new question and answer section of this this video. John, do you want to come back and say hi, or?
Sure, I'm here. Yeah.
I'm only joking. So this is the question and answer section, and I'm just looking through the chat room here. I'm so sorry about my audio cutting out briefly. I need to figure out a new way to get my audio into the thing. It's something with USB power settings with my Scarlett i2, and every once in a while it drops out, so I apologize, everybody. But yeah, there's a couple questions here about the difference between the latency, that low latency new tech NDi that they're promoting, and the fact that you can go over the public internet with, are you saying ultra low latency as well over the public internet?
Okay, so let me explain the differences. NDi is a LAN protocol, a local area network protocol within a building, right? It does not go over the public internet. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if I was in your office and needed to send a feed to another office next to me, I could do that over an Ethernet cable, which NDi would support. Mm-hmm. But if I was in your office up in Northern California and I'm in my office in Southern California, we're going to have to go over the public internet.
Yes.
We're going to have to use a different protocol. Typically, we use a protocol called transport stream. We compress the video because the data rate would not, if I was trying to use NDi, which is very lightly compressed, it's very, very high quality, mm-hmm. we couldn't get that bandwidth over the public internet. So that's why we use compression. And just to give you an idea of the quality that we can transmit over the public internet, ABC Networks uses cubes at about 3.5 megabits per second, 720p to go to air. So that gives you an idea of the kind of quality that we support.
So with that being said, you can basically stream video over the public internet compressed. And I guess you're not really worried about audio syncing or anything because it's all compressed together. There is no latency issues because it's just delivered when it's delivered, right?
Well, we take the audio as an embedded or analog feed into the encoder, and at that point connect the video with the audio, and then encode them and then stream them. So it's not that we're going to have audio behind video. That's not our problem. No. You may have latency We typically see a latency of about a second and a half over the public internet. Mm-hmm. If I was to take a pair of cubes, an encoder and a decoder, and put an Ethernet cable between the two of them, on your desk, for example, we would see 4 frames, right? So that's 4 frames of latency. The internet adds all the rest.
Interesting. Okay, there's a couple more questions coming in here. Jeff Kethy is asking, when is TeraDeck coming out with an NDi encoder, or does TeraDeck not even need a NDi encoder because your local area network streaming is so low latency anyway, you should be able to just ingest that right into a TriCaster or vMix or Wirecast? How does all that work?
That's a great question. I mean, yes, you can today ingest a transport stream feed from a cube over the LAN or over the WAN straight into a TriCaster. Okay? The difference is that NDi is a bidirectional connection. It's also a much higher data rate, so it's virtually uncompressed. So the quality is going to be a little bit better, and the delay is much less than 4 frames. Will we create? We have NDi prototypes in the office, and as the demand picks up, we'll come out with products.
That's a good answer. So explain to me just a little bit more about this ingestion into a TriCaster. Would you just be basically having an RTSP destination that goes right into it? Is that what you're referring to?
We can send an RTSP feed straight into TriCaster. We actually have a plugin on the TriCaster that says, add source TeraDeck Encoder.
Oh, wow.
So you could actually pull a feed from one of our cubes sending to our core account. So over the public internet, I could send a feed into TriCaster.
Interesting. And then I guess for Wirecast and vMix users, it would be just an RTSP stream.
That's correct. That's correct. The TeraDeck cubes support RTSP, RTMP, HTTP Live, transport stream as standard protocols.
So do you see a lot of people just streaming right off the cubes and the bolts directly to their CDN, or are more people streaming to something that can do the production quality stuff and then streaming from there?
What I've seen as a typical workflow is, even though a production switcher such as the TriCaster can stream, my 2 megabits per second is better than their 2 megabits per second because they are involved in doing all the switching and the graphics. It's a computer and it only has X amount of horsepower. The cube only does one thing, which is encode. It's a specifically designed chipset for encoding. It doesn't do switching. It doesn't run graphics, right? It just does encoding. But what it does is encode really well. So I have many TriCaster users taking an SDI output of their TriCaster with the graphics straight into a cube and then sending that up to core so that they can manage it to multiple CDNs at the same time.
I remember you telling me about that. Let's rewind back to that case study that you told me about South by Southwest. Everyone always thinks about cores and cubes to be sending, cubes and bolts to be sending directly to a TriCaster, but it's actually the opposite sometimes. You're actually feeding the TriCaster into a cube, and the reason why mainly is because you're getting a better encode send, and because you can now use the core to remotely manage where everything's going, and you're taking the processing power off of your vMix, your Wirecast, your TriCaster.
Absolutely. You described it beautifully. Let's let vMix, TriCaster, Wirecast do what they do the best, and let's let us do what we do the best.
Very interesting. Have you ever done any projects where you're streaming a bunch of things from the public area network, like over the public internet, and then all going back to like a master studio where they're just taking feeds from here, 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 and here, and then just making a giant production out of it?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. There was there is a company out there, and it's still out there, called Tap TV, that has particular celebrities that they do live streaming for. And we had a particular customer or celebrity in Alaska, a particular political figure that lives in Alaska. We had a couple of cameras in her home feeding TeraDeck cubes. The cubes were feeding Core. The Core was feeding a TriCaster that was sitting back in LA, where they were doing ISO records and switching and producing a live show that they were then outputting to the web.
Wow. See, that's what I was thinking that would be like a really amazing use case. But you kind of go all over the map. Let's talk about, so we talked about kind of the high-end TriCasters, the high-end broadcasts, these giant, productions you're doing for the election. What about the little guys? What about the school, the church, the small business? How are they using your products?
Well, I'll tell you, one of my biggest successes was actually in the church market. We supplied, over 3,500 videos to the LDS market. So that just shows you how many churches are now using our products to stream, and that's a $6.99 box. So that's a very low cost, easy. A customer called it to me their first streamer. It's that simple box. You plug video in, you put your destination, you press go live, and away you go.
I see, and I think and so you're not getting it. These are for these people who they just want to stream a football game, a soccer game, a church season, but they don't need necessarily a whole ton of video production. They just want to get that service, church service, live streamed. And a lot of times, what TriCaster's offering and vMix and Wirecast is more than they need. They just need to stream their camera and audio to the world, right?
I'll say that is true. And one of the first questions I always ask a customer is, are they streaming for fun or are they streaming for business? Mm-hmm. And, when they say, well, we're streaming, our high school football or we're streaming a church service, I consider that fun, right? If someone doesn't see the stream or the quality is not, as good as it should be, it's not the end of the world. And I would recommend the video line of products. If someone says to me they're streaming for money, for profession, I like to get them into the Cube family, because the Cube family goes to my Core product, which allows me to monitor the quality of the feed that I'm sending, right? I'll put it this way. When you use a video, you basically put your video in, you put in your destination, you press go live, and you pray to the gods of streaming that it gets there. You have no ability to know what the quality is. Are you losing packets, etc., etc. So, that again is what I would call my first streamer. And we sell thousands of those. It's a very popular product with the church market and with the school market. But it's funny how when someone says that they were streaming for fun, and Friday night stream they had no bandwidth because they were Wi-Fi to a MiFi hotspot, and suddenly they're realizing that people are relying on their stream and moving away from the video. There's a growth in where one and how one starts to stream. You start simply and then you move up. I think that one of the very important things that we've seen changing the industry over the last 6 months, and I was at an event listening to some statistics from a company the other day that had done some market research in the way people consume their streams. And I'll break it down to a personal experience that happened to me when I asked my family. My dad will only view stuff streamed on Facebook. He'll never go anywhere else. If it's not on Facebook, he doesn't know about it. My son watches YouTube. If it's not on YouTube, he won't find it. My daughter hates the interface of YouTube. She watches live stream, right? My mom will always download the app, right? She goes to the, CNN and downloads the app to watch. The point is, if you stream to be seen, you have to now stream to all of these platforms at the same time, because if you don't, you're missing a whole group of people you're trying to attach to, or to talk to. So, using the core product, we have that ability to go to all those CDNs at one time. Using the VDU products, we don't. It's a single destination. So there's a very clear delineation between these two products and these two families.
So I'm getting a couple questions about the Sphere product I completely forgot to ask you about, and I guess we still have a little bit of time. Can you tell us about this 360 monitoring and live streaming? I know you brought it up at NAB, right?
Yeah, we started shipping these, and basically they are agnostic to the camera rig, so you can use either 4 HDMI cameras or SDI cameras. We can gang 2 of these together. We feed the feeds of these 4 cameras into the Sphere. The Sphere will send those wirelessly to the iPad, where we will live stitch them and live stream them at the same time. There you go. That's a great picture of the Sphere there. So this is a really fun way of getting into VR. Okay, very fun way. Not too expensive, but very, very powerful.
So what have been the use cases so far with something like this? I heard that churches were using them to give their viewers or their audience kind of like the ability to look all around the church if they're not there for Sunday. Other sports, I guess? What are you seeing?
We've got customers doing sports. We've got customers doing concerts. We've got customers doing web traffic cams. It's across the board, across the board. I'll send you afterwards a couple of links that you can put on your website of a recent stream that we did in VR. And you can send this out on it's a YouTube link. And, it's a fun thing to do. I mean, I don't know. I'll tell you my personal point of view. Any pictures that I take nowadays and post to Facebook are always the panoramic ones, right? Because it's just more interesting to look around, right? And that's the same philosophy in the 360 streams. Having the ability to look around and see who's fallen asleep or not paying attention is hilarious.
So I'm getting a couple more questions here. Family Worship, who is a Bible teaching ministry in Jamaica, Queens, New York. Maybe they'll get out to NAB, New York. They're asking, do you have any plans to add remote management via internet to the $6.99 VDu encoder? That would be a great benefit to churches who might have a tech person in another state or a remote location.
That's why we created the Cube family.
Okay, so it's not going to be built into the VDu. It'd be an upgrade to the Cube.
Yes.
So the VDUs cannot stream to the core, is that what you're saying?
That is correct.
I understand.
The video is RTMP out only to a single web destination. it is considered as, you know, my first streamer. It's really one to kind of get your feet wet in the streaming game. And once you realize that there is, you know, some value in the streaming game, we think that the move to the Core and the Cube family is the way to go.
Interesting. I feel like we've learned so much about TeraDeck today. This is really the end of the show. I wanted to give you a last chance to kind of let us, anything that, you know, you want to share, anything that you want to end on. I would love to link to that information on the your 360 stream. I would love to get some of your products in-house to test with. I don't think we've done that yet. Maybe I can work with Broadfield, who's a great distributor in New York City for most of your products. Anything you want to end on before we roll the final credits?
I would say that feel free to give out my contact details. I'd happily speak to anyone after the stream and take any questions privately. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time today, John. You have an amazing product line, so fun to work with and look at. I hope I can get some of these in-house to play with. It's been so much fun, John. Thanks for tuning in today. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Take care,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Does it look good?
Yeah, it looks great.
Good job, John. You what? If only once we have to take like 3 minutes and a half to flip your video from your front video to your screen sharing.
I saw it too. Nice.
Mike,